All right, we're on.
We're on. Hey, welcome to the Gotta Have Miami podcast. This is episode
12.
Episode 12. After a few interesting episodes in the 10 series that were a little off.
Technical difficulties.
And also we need to do a historic
clarification.
Yes. Because I think I freaked everybody out in Miami Beach that lives on the Floridian, actually on West Avenue. It was actually the Royal Palm that got hit by the hurricane and burnt down. And then after that, it was the DuPont Plaza that also got dropped back in about 2003, 2004 for Epic.
Right.
But to me, that's still all haunted grounds there and
it's
sacred grounds.
Ancient burial ground.
Yeah, the ancient burial ground. So today we're going to be talking about a few things. Redistricting is going to be coming back up in a few minutes, but also the fact that we are in Coconut Grove with a nice lush canopy behind us, which I think Ashley wants to mention something about the importance of the canopy aspect. And we have all of these orchids flying around. And if you really look closely, there is the elusive red conga, which I will talk about, which is that, somewhere, those guys right there. So the elusive red conga, okay, so the story is, we're actually at my home up in the front yard of, in Coconut Grove, and those red congas have been the most elusive things out there. First of all, there were none. Then they came out this big. Then there was another rash of a little bit bigger. And then when I was giving up all hope, we found those that are a little bit bigger, because if not, I was going to go to the Coral Gables Park over there by the Circle, and they have like thousands of them.
They wouldn't notice.
I know they wouldn't have noticed. So you just clip them a little bit and take them and run, and then we would have been okay. But no, we ended up
these were purchased.
Yeah, these were purchased.
We have receipts.
They were receipts. They're in a bucket. Yeah, we purchased these, so that's it. So how does it relate to real estate? Ash is going to tell you something about tree coverage and how important it is, and then we'll get into a little redistricting conversation. So have at it.
Well, a couple reasons why tree canopy is important. Energy consumption in the home. You would love some shade on your house.
Which we're in the shade right now.
But not too much shade, because then a hurricane comes and blows the tree over on your house. That's so like a nice middle ground there.
Exactly. No coconut palms.
Then some trees are protected,
yes,
right?
They are.
So you can't just take the liberty of chopping down all your trees. Some trees you need to get permits to even trim back, not just chop down, even if you're trimming back.
For sure. City of Miami has one of the most strict tree codes, even though most of the developers just consider it part of doing business and chop them down and then pay the fine.
Well, then I have kudos to give to the underlying development team there. I sat in on a call and I listened to them go back and forth with residents of the area. They have charts of all the trees that were removed, which plants were replacing them, all categorized to be native. I mean, they really... Someone took a lot of time.
They do. It's very important. I think what also happens a lot is that folks realize that some of these trees, they all are the same, and they're not. We do have a lot of invasive species. One of the most popular invasive species that people like are the Australian pines that you see down in Key Biscayne as you're going down the Rickenbacker Causeway. All those big pines on the side.
There's a big hoo-ha right here, and what is that, in front of Ransom?
Yeah.
There's two big Australian pines. They got a chain around them. There's people putting signs. They don't want them cut. They need to be cut.
But the reality of it is those were invasives. They were brought in to actually create shade and to create a windbreak against storms.
Right.
So, and I'm probably going to have to clarify that next week that this isn't right either, but you know what? We're not Google, man. We're going off of what I have up here going back 60 years, so God knows what I'm saying. But yeah, I think it's important. Also, we've always talked about the importance of trees, that it actually adds value to the residential neighborhoods. And you see that when you look at a map of Miami, and in particular, you'll see Coconut Grove, and we consider Coconut Grove the lung of Miami because of all the green canopy. You'll see that we are, probably one of the most lush and dense neighborhoods, even though we do suffer a lot of tree loss from the new development.
Right.
And it's just one of the realities that, we have a tree right here in the middle in an old little house, and that tree has to be moved. I wish that we would be able to work around it. We've talked about zoning for it.
Right.
But it's just, development is development, and they do what they do.
Development's development. I have mixed feelings. Maybe, if you have to cut down a tree for development, you should be required to plant additional trees because they're also going to grow, and 20 years from now they'll be big old trees too. So it's a touchy subject.
I'll give you a great example, and you can't see it from here, but if you were to look right back there, actually you can see it. It's that tree right there. So that's an oak tree. So that oak tree was planted when we first moved in, probably about 5 years after we moved in. That oak tree was planted, and there it is.
So 1997?
About in the mid-90s, and there it is. And now it's about a 25-year-old oak tree. That property was redeveloped. I sold the lot of that property because we are in real estate and we do sell the real estate. And I sold it, and the owners kept it because it was put in an area where it did not affect any of the construction. It was just smart planning, and you can do that with a lot of your trees. Like in this particular place, we planted them in a way that it would give a shade cover, but at the same time it didn't impede on any expansion, and we would still have the a good green top.
Yeah.
You're having a little issue with a mahogany tree?
I have a mahogany tree that's technically not even on my property. It's on
It's attacking you.
On the easement median.
Yep.
So
right of way.
You know, I as the owner of the property, I'm responsible to maintain that.
Isn't
but
that great?
I can't, which is fine. I would love to redo all the landscaping, but the tree gives so much shade and drops so many leaves that I would never get anything to grow there.
And it drops little bombs.
It drops those bombs.
If you don't know about a mahogany tree, they drop little, yeah, man, these little guys, like, I had one fall back here just recently, so, and it from the tree over there.
So every car you park under it is destroyed.
Dink, like a hailstorm.
Well, it's funny. My husband sold a car a couple weeks ago, and the guy called him up and said, "Man, was this thing in a hailstorm?"
It's like, oops.
No, it wasn't in a hailstorm exactly, but
it was in a mahogany storm. Oh, speaking about, we figured out what was in the grove this past weekend that we didn't tell you last Thursday or Friday. When did we do Friday? What was it?
The biggest Porsche show in the United States.
Interesting.
Yes. So there was, I don't know, probably 300, 400 Porsches.
Wow.
Porsches
Very nice.
there. Old, new, you know,
Tricked
fancy,
out.
not fancy. The whole spectrum was there.
And your hubby had, he was working on a couple of them in there, right?
He has some wheels on some Porsches in there.
A little pub. My nephew Carlos, your husband Carlos, he has a little side company called Vibrant Forge. So if you're ever looking for souped up high-end wheels, he's got you covered.
He's got the cool stuff.
Yeah, there it is. There's our pub for the day. What else do we got? We got lost checks coming and going.
Lost checks.
We got checks with water stains.
We got water stain checks. I got returned from the mailman. We got a check that was put in the mailbox, never to be seen again.
Yep.
So as a tenant, make sure your checks are getting deposited. Because if it got lost in the mail or something happened to it, now your landlord thinks you didn't pay your rent. He's already doing the paperwork to evict you, and you're
getting that 3-day notice.
So,
your check is out there in limbo, just flying around.
So check, make sure it gets deposited, and that money comes out of your account. If it doesn't, follow up. Hey, you know, I see my rent wasn't.
Stay involved in your, especially in the rental market. Stay involved in your payments. And again, in our case, both of them have been involved and have been engaged, so it hasn't been a main issue. But just keep an eye on your rent payments and stuff like that.
Yeah, you don't want to be thought of that you're not paying your rent when it's really just the mailman's fault.
True.
So.
So what else we got? Anything else that we want to? Oh yeah, redistricting.
Yes. So when's the next?
No, there is no next.
No veto.
No, there is no veto. As I mentioned on Friday, I didn't think that Suarez would have the balls to veto it for the main reason. They can come up with all of their reasons about the redistricting and the map, and none of that really holds any water because, first of all, everybody had this urgency about having to redistrict and getting it done in the period of March. And really, Christine White, who is the director of elections in Miami-Dade County, said that wasn't an issue. It was something that could be postponed and been worked out and thought out through a different format. So I think it's going to go into the legal aspect of it. But again, they used all of these little excuses about this and that, how there wasn't another map available, how it took away. Everyone was advocating about how the African American vote was being diluted, which also is a far stretch. And I think that in reality is that we have a mayor that his whole career from a mayor standpoint, from a financial standpoint, just revolves around Mel Reese, the development for the Moss Brothers and David Beckham for for the stadium.
Yeah.
And he is afraid, again, Suarez loses to a Carollo simply because he needs 4 votes. And he knows that he doesn't have one because one of the commissioners has already said that they're not going to vote. And by doing this, he may have gotten Russell's vote to support. Now, you know, Russell has a little bit of a little pull, because if he calls it no, then, you know, it could get interesting. But again, I didn't expect it to be vetoed for the simple reason is that Mel Reese is the project. That is the whole, you know, kit and caboodle. Yeah, that's the end goal for, especially for Suarez, outside of his whole crypto vibe thing that they got going on.
I bet you're going to be able to buy soccer tickets with crypto.
You will be able to buy soccer tickets if they sell soccer tickets. They don't sell now up in Fort Lauderdale, and soccer's been around here for a long time. If you're an old guy like me, you've seen the Miami Toros, you've seen the Strikers, you've seen all of these come, and it's just not a game that will carry the demand that most people do.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. That's going to be an interesting time. That comes up this month, actually. If it doesn't get delayed again, it's already been delayed several times. So we'll see how the political winds make a move on that. And we'll see. But that redistricting is now going to go to court. I think the big conversation will be how Carollo benefits from what we talked about last week, which was
probably the most ethical dilemma going on there.
Yeah, and then just from benefiting from a homestead standpoint. So I think that will be the big issue, and we'll see how it plays out. But there is it is petty politics, and it's sad to see it. But man, I haven't seen it in Miami. We've had it before. Don't get me wrong. Back in the heydays of the '80s, when this place was bankrupt, it was nasty. But right now, it's just super petty. It's become partisan, and that's really the biggest issue that we've had. It's become Republican, Democrat in a nonpartisan role. At the end of the day, city commissioners and county commissioners run the water, make sure the trash gets picked up. You know, all of these things are the basic items. Yeah, basic items. Oh no, but we're going to make it political. I mean, one of the commentators the other day at the original meeting on the 24th brings up, and Republicans this, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about? It doesn't. There's nothing there that jives. And then the 3 Republican commissioners took offense.
Right.
So it's like, what?
Well, how are you
why bring the partisan into it? Leave it alone.
Right.
So that's it. So I think that's what's going to.
I think that's a good suggestion to all government.
Yeah, just leave the partisan. Leave the partisan alone. So I think that's it. And what other topic did we have that we wanted to talk about? We talked about the cars. We talked about the clarifications of the
historic clarifications.
Yeah, very important. Nobody in the Floridian freak out. Rent checks, make sure that they come and go.
Yeah, check your rent checks.
And what else? And then the redistricting and the importance of a canopy.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the key things. And today I met with the Miami Herald's food editor.
Right.
We had a long conversation about Cuban bread. So for those of you that do not know, I was in the baking business for quite some time. And we had a big discussion of why Cuban bread now in Miami sucks.
Oh,
it's the worst. You can't even compare it to before.
I'm not old enough to know
exactly.
what real Cuban bread tastes like.
That's harsh. It's true though, but that's harsh.
So I do have a closing coming up at the mercy of the condo gods.
There you go.
We're waiting on an estoppel letter. That's our last piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
For those who don't know, the estoppel letter comes from the condo, and it stops. And it stops.
That's the key word. It stops.
So it basically tells you what the sellers owe to the condo, so that the closing agent knows how to, delegate all the funds, whatever. And that's what we're waiting on.
And then I sent an email out yesterday for our special assessment. And did you hear anything about the special assessment? No. Did you hear anything? No. So this is a $29 million special assessment.
Yeah.
And we would really like to know a little bit of information before we close. And we think there was a vote last week.
But we don't know.
But apparently it's very, very secret. Yeah, it's top secret.
This is a top secret building.
Yeah, it's a top secret building. So apparently sooner or later we will find out.
But yeah, so it looks like we're at the mercy of the condo gods this week.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That's our thing. And when you come back, if we do this show again from this section, you will see those red congos planted, because today, Tuesday, I've got nothing to do. outside of meeting with Miami Herald.
About Cuban bread?
About Cuban bread, which is nothing related to real estate. But yeah, and that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon, planting those little guys. You know why? So no one comes and takes them.
Yeah, because somebody will come. You're lucky you got a gate.
I know, they're rare.
Yeah.
Rare.
Well, they're going to look very nice back there.
Well, thank you very, very, very much. So again, thanks for stopping in. Hopefully on Friday we'll have a little bit more information about our condos and what's going on, and also we'll actually know what's going on the weekend.
Yeah, we'll see what's coming up.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you for joining us, guys. Take it easy.
Episode 12.
12 down.